In his book, Black Men in Leather, published in 1999, Cain Berlinger examines the situation of a double minority, a minority within a minority. People fear what they do not understand, he says, and black men in leather look for leaders who can understand what it is like to be them. Cain Berlinger has had an eventful career, at one point running a leather bar in Amsterdam, and later serving as an interfaith minister in Manhattan. He writes on health, meditation, prayer, and fitness, and has also written dozens of erotic novels. His books are available on Amazon. In the following clip, he reads passages from Black Men in Leather.
I should mention at this point that one of the main deterrents of total acceptance of each other in the leather and black communities is the lack of sexual education and the easy assumption of popular myth. S&M is not about inflicting serious bodily harm, nor are all black men super endowed. People hear what they do not understand. And it's up to both communities to make an effort to stop preaching to the converted and practice some outreach. People of color and leather people should realize that if suppression and restriction are allowed to happen to one minority, it can happen to others as well. We need to stand by each other in the trenches. If the leather community is attacked, the activists take up the gauntlet and bring the politicians to task. And often the rank and file are supportive but cautious. The black leather community knows that they are a double minority. Many black leather persons in leadership positions are reluctant to take any stand that might anger the establishment for fear of being perceived as troublemaker, someone who wants to rock the status quo. If a push ever came to a shove, should black leather persons depend on the community to support them, or would we have to turn to our own people for support? In issues of racism, with the community support, or will we be outside with our noses pressed against the glass? Okay, in the case of Matthew Shepard, a student murdered because he was gay, his brutal murder was a cause célèbre across the country. Candlelight vigils, protests, a change of laws, even nominations to name him Times Man of the Year. And while his death, senseless and tragic as it was, remained in the public eye, months later a black man had been brutally torn apart, dragged behind the back of a truck. There were no vigils or rallies outside the home state. No laws were enacted, and no Times Man of the Year nominations. As America becomes so used to anti-black violence, while noted, is not to be eulogized by the black gay community. Is it any wonder that many African Americans feel distrusting, suspicious, and outside the gay community that rallies for social change and leather acceptance, but it appears that on basic civil rights for minorities rather than themselves? There needs to be more interaction between men of color and leather and the leather community, reminding each other that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Politicians and the Christian right understand that as long as minorities are divided within their own ranks, they can bring every minority to their knees. It is up to the leather community to increase its number to supporters by reaching out to other communities, no matter how tight the resistance. The words diversity, inclusiveness, and political correctness have been used so often in referring to men of color that it has taken on a kind of the check is in the mail presumption. Black leaders in the leather community are scarce. They need the help of their local, regional, and international brothers to help and guide them through the many pitfalls of the political system. When asked about the role of black males in the leather community and their place within it, some were completely at a loss. Few seemed to know what was expected of them or what they expected from their own leaders. Is there a black apathy in the world at large? If so, has it also extended to the gay black communities? Since all clubs and communities simply reflect a society in which they function, with the only difference being sexual leanings, it is not surprising that the same lack of participation that is so prevalent in society will be reflected back at us in these smaller communities. Many African Americans seem to be content with the role of lover to a white male, of the traditional good time Charlie that rolls his eyes and laughs at jokes made at the expense of their own people in order to get along. While many, according to the poll, appear committed to the leather community, others balked at being called part of the black community, because there did not appear to be a black community. They could be a part of being accepted or at least tolerated in the leather community. Seemed to be a better choice than being outside the community, where they were shunned entirely because of their SM sexual preference by straights and mainstream gays alike. When asked which community men of color most identified, black, gay, or leather, some believe that safety in numbers expressed allegiance to the leather community despite their protestations of poor representation. Such thoughts as where else am I going to find the most men of color into what I'm into? Who can understand what it's like to be me?